Thank you, principals, all the teachers, students, and dear parents. Thank you for having me here. Very good evening to each one of you. Last time when I spoke, it was during the middle of the lockdown. And I remember all the children were very interested and very interactive. We had a very good session last time. And this time, thanks to the good efforts and good work put in by the Kuwait government, situation is much better. I think it's almost reached a plateau. COVID has reached a plateau, and I think life is slowly returning back to normal. And I think most of the parents would have started going to work once again, and life is almost returned to normal. But is it the same for the children? No. I think children are back to online classes once again. So I think after the break, again, once again, online classes have started last week for most of the children. So why do we talk about this issue now? Although, we have been used to computers and the smartphones for quite some time. I remember I got the smartphone maybe around 9-10 years back. But this question about the safety of devices, especially the smartphone and the computer, was not this much of an issue, isn't it? So why is it being asked now? It is, of course, technology is important, and we all have enjoying the benefits of technology today, isn't it? Any information is available at your fingertips from the comforts of your home. It's all because of technology. There are all educational material, information, everything is available. Even online classes, I should say, is one of the benefits of technology. And today I'm talking to you again is because of this technology, isn't it? But we are worried about the harmful effects that excessive screen time can cause, especially in children. Why in children? Because let me tell you that the effect is not the same like in adults, because in children, the eyes are still growing. The most crucial phase of their life when the eyes are developing is before the age of 2 or 3, because the maximum growth happens before the age of 3. So if the input to the eyes, whatever we give through the eyes, impacts the growth and development of not only the eyes, but also of the brain. So we as parents and teachers have to know that this is the important message for today, that even before you know, already the damage has occurred. Of course, the eyes continue to grow till about the age of 6 to 8. And by the age around 8 to 10, the eyes have actually reached the size of an adult eye. After that, very little growth occurs. And it continues at a very slow pace till around the age of 16. And after that, that's it. So any structural damage that can happen because of excessive screen time occurs before the age of 6 to 8. So whatever has to be done now. All the preventive measures, if they are taken sufficiently, will go a long way in preventing this damage, because this structural damage is permanent. It is irreversible. And once the damage occurs, the child remains with that developmental defect for the rest of the life. So this is the important message for today, that whatever preventive measures have to be taken, has to be taken now. Now, what are the structural damages? There are two types of damage that can happen because of excessive screen time. I will not say that screen time should be avoided. It is here to stay. We all have to accept that this is the times that we are going through, and this is there for, I don't know for how long online classes will continue. But we have to decide what is good enough, how much is too much. This is the question that we need to answer today. If you see, when children are developing, if excessive screen viewing occurs, there are two things that can happen. Like I told you, one is reversible, the other is irreversible. Irreversible changes can often, we can take remedial measures or some treatment or some other measures, and we can see that it is taken care of. But once irreversible damage happens, we cannot do anything. And frankly speaking, even we ophthalmologists, we do not know the extent of damage that is happening because of excessive screen time. Because it is just around 4 or 5 years that, children are exposed to these screens. And studies at least need to be conducted for at least another 20 years to actually know the impact that they have on the eyes. And by then, the children who are around 4 or 5 years now would already have been around 25, 30 years old then. And already the damage would have been already done, isn't it? So let us see one by one. Okay, first are the short-term effects. And now, if children are viewing the screen continuously, daily, like the online classes, what happens in the short-term period? The first short-term impact that happens, the serious impact is on the vision. What happens is children these days, they need glasses. You must have noticed as parents and teachers that when we were children, how many children wore glasses? In a class, maybe 2 or 3, not more than that. But today, the number is constantly on the rise. And it was estimated that by the year 2050, 50% of children would be myopes and they would need glasses. And what is myopia? Myopia is a condition where distant objects cannot be seen clearly. And children need to wear glasses to see them clearly. But now, because of the increased indoor activities and change in the lifestyle, more and more children are affected. And already the target, which was estimated for 2050, has already been reached. In most of the Asian countries, about 50 to 60% of children are myopes. They are wearing glasses. And the existing ones are progressing. What I mean by progressing is, if a child is having, say, a power of -1 when at the age of 5, by the time the child reaches the age of 15 or 16, the power has increased to 8, -8 or -9 or -10. So this is the main harmful effect that is happening. It is not just because of screen time per se, it is multifactorial, mainly because of lifestyle changes as a whole. What is lifestyle changes? More and more children are now, spending more time indoors rather than spending outdoors. And studies have again proved that children in their developmental group age up to the age of 10, and most critical is before the age of 3, they need to spend a lot of time outdoors. A minimum of 2 hours has to be spent outdoors, in the sense they need to be exposed to natural light, sunlight, for the proper normal development of the eyes and the brain, because the eye is just the extension of the brain. So what happens when they spend less time outdoors? Naturally, they are indoors. And what do? These days, most of the time is with devices, either the screens ranging from the television, the iPad, laptop, gaming videos, YouTube, Netflix and whatnot, and social media, of course. So all these screens have different impacts. I will not say that all screens are harmful. It depends upon the size of the screen. So the smaller the screen, the more harmful it is. So which is the smallest screen? It is, of course, the smartphone. And the bigger screens, and the biggest is, if you talk of a desktop or a PC, it is not that harmful. So if classes have to be conducted and if children need to spend a lot of time online, it is better that parents invest in a desktop. And phones should be given only if it is just for 5 or 10 minutes, not more than that. Okay, and this is the first step that we need to take. And now about the side effects that can, the harmful effects that can happen because of excessive screen time. It is not just cosmetic about myopia. When I spoke about myopia, it is almost reaching a pandemic stage now. We are calling it the myopia pandemic, along with the COVID pandemic. Why pandemic? Because it's increasing by leaps and bounds. And most of the children are already on the verge of developing myopia now. Now, if you see, it is not just cosmetic, as I said earlier, that they wear glasses, or if they don't want to wear glasses, they can wear contact lenses. it is much more than that. Myopia does structural damage to the eye. What happens is the eyeball becomes longer. If a normal child has an eyeball of length, say 22 millimeters, in a child with high myopia, say around -7 or -8, the eyeball is 25 millimeters long. So what happens? The eyeball is stretched. It is longer, means it is getting stretched like a balloon. So the walls or the layers of the eyeball are becoming thinner. And so what happens? These eyes are more prone to other diseases in later stages of their life when they become adults. For example, retinal degeneration, retinal detachment, age-related retinal problems, then glaucoma. All these are seen to be more in such children. So that is why I need to stress on the importance of preventing these damages in the earlier age group, so that they live to have healthy eyes in the long run. Now coming to the reversible effects. Reversible effects are the same like adults. Even adults who are using the computers and have excessive screen time do develop discomforts. There are two types. One is related to the muscles as such, the strain on the muscles. And the other is because of dryness. See, the eye muscles are just like any other muscle of the body. See, if the eye, if you say, it is involved in two types of vision. One is distant vision and one is near vision. Distant vision is, see, most of you all who have revisited an ophthalmologist would have noticed that the ophthalmologist makes you read a chart, isn't it? Which is kept at a distance. The distance is 20 feet or 6 meters. This is distant vision. See, this year is 2020, and we ophthalmologists are very fond of this number 20. In my talk, I'll be using the word 20 a lot, many times. So this distance of 20 feet is important, because beyond that, not much of focusing is involved. The eyes are relaxed. When you're looking at an object beyond 20 feet, not much of focusing takes place. So the eyes are relaxed. But when you look at objects closer than that, for example, when you're reading or you're looking at the laptop or the phone, focusing comes into action, and the muscles are acting so that the object that you're looking at remains clear for that particular period of time. But when you continue to look at the same distance, that the near maybe at around 30 centimeters from your eyes for a long time, the small muscles of the eye that are focusing begin to feeling the strain. And so what is the strain? It is just like any other muscle of the body. You feel tired in the beginning. And later what happens? You feel itching, you feel drying, and then some redness, watering from the eyes. And again, if you ignore and if you continue to do near work, the muscle can even go into some sort of a spasm. Like you must have noticed in athletes, when they are running or taking part in sports, suddenly they get cramps, isn't it? And then they get intense pain of that muscle. The same way you can get intense pain in either in the eyes or on the head. It can manifest as headache. And in small children, it is noticed that if this is ignored, it can even lead to development of squint. And in this pandemic, within these 3 or 4 months of lockdown, there have been increased reports of squint, especially in small children, younger than 3 years. So this shows the impact that the small screen and the the harmful effect of staying indoors all the time that can happen to small children. Next, coming to dryness. Dryness is mainly because when you're looking at the small screen, I mean any screen for that matter, you forget to blink. Normally, what happens? Blinking is an involuntary process. We don't remember to blink, isn't it? It just happens involuntarily, just like how we are breathing or how your heart is beating. You're blinking, and blinking is a protective mechanism, by the way. It's also helpful in lubricating the eye, because each time you blink and open, a layer of tears is spread over the eyes, and it not only lubricates, it is also important in nourishing the eye. So when there is reduced blinking, for example, if you look at children, when they are glued to a screen, you see that they're staring at the screen and they're not blinking. The same thing happens to adults, but we don't realize it. So when the rate of blinking is reduced, what happens is there is more evaporation of the tears, plus the light emitted from the screen itself causes dryness. And what is the symptoms what is the complaint that you feel when you get dryness? First of all, you get a gritty sensation. You feel that there is something inside the eye. And then there is watering from the eyes. Then it leads to redness, itchy sensation. Children start rubbing. Again, rubbing itself is harmful for children. If they continue to rub the eyes for a long period of time, again, it can cause blurred vision. This is called astigmatism. The structure of the eye the shape of the eye gets changed when they continue to rub. And again, this needs to be corrected with glasses. Okay. And then in adults, what happens is, especially when, like in teachers who are already reaching the age of 40, presbyopic age, already they are susceptible to dryness because the tear production reduces with age, and the muscle activity is also, the strength of the muscle reduces. All these symptoms are worse in teachers and adults. So now coming back to children, there are some children who are preparing for competitive exams, isn't it? These children, they spend, say, maybe around anywhere from 10 to even 16 hours studying. They are spending so much time again on their screens. In addition to the strain that is caused by all the things that I said now, in addition to this, they also have the stress of the exams. So in addition to this, these children need to take extra care of their eyes. So these are the different things that are happening because of excessive screen time. Although I'll tell you, we don't know what impact it will have over a long period of time. Another after 20-25 years, when science studies have been completed, we would know the actual impact. But anyway, we have to go by our instinct, and we have to do something now so that we can minimize the impact that it can have on our small children. So coming to the remedies. Now, I heard that even the Ministry of HRD in India has issued certain guidelines regarding online classes. Now, how far the schools are going to impact is up to them. But if it is impacted, it will be well and good. Because we have to take care of our children, because they are the generation, the next generation. So the guidelines that have been laid by the HRD ministry says that children in preschool, or preschool children should not be exposed to screens, or online classes should not be longer than 30 minutes. And classes 1 to 8, they say that they can have periods of 30 to 45 minutes with a break of 5 to 10 minutes, but not more than 2 periods. And for children above the class 8, that is 9 to 12, they can have same periods ranging from 30 to 45 minutes, again with a gap of 5 to 10 minutes, but not more than 4 periods in a day. Now, if you ask as an ophthalmologist earlier, before the lockdown, if you asked us how much is too much, we would say that we follow the American Academy of Ophthalmology, the guidelines laid by this institution. So according to the American Academy of Ophthalmology, this was before the lockdown, if there was absolutely no allowance of screen time for children below the age of 3, absolutely no screen time. And if you look at the homes today, what is happening in these small children? Any house, if you go, you will see that when they want to feed these children, they are, watching YouTube videos or something on television, and they're eating, and they don't even know what they're being fed. So if you ask me, below the age of 3, no screen time. After that, when they enter school and their children have started interacting with parents and with the people around, screen time can be allowed. But how much? 1 hour. That is up to the age of 6. After the age of 6, above 6, 2 hours, not more than 2 hours per day. So this applies including in online classes. Now, coming to screen time per se, I wouldn't say that all the screen time is bad, because we are living in such times and we cannot run away from technology, isn't it? So we have to decide what is to be allowed and what should be restricted. So I would say healthy screen time and unhealthy screen time. So what is healthy screen time? Of course, online classes will come into the same category. But I would also add to it, if a child is learning some skill, or if it is used for a productive purpose or some project, or for example, if a child, a 10-year-old comes and says that I want to do something, cook something new, they can be encouraged, he can watch the YouTube videos and he can learn to cook. And of course, cooking is a very essential skill. And most of you must have realized it during the lockdown when all restaurants were closed, and how important it is to know how to cook a simple meal. So life skills are important. So if a child is using the these electronic devices to learn a new skill, of course it should be encouraged. For interactive sessions, of course it should be encouraged. And also for socializing. See, these days not much of socializing happen, and it is on the decline in children. Grandparents and relatives are all far away. So you should encourage them if they want to talk to their cousins or make video calls to their grandparents. This should be encouraged. All this comes into healthy screen time. What is unhealthy? When they are just watching it passively. For example, just watching videos on YouTube, cartoons, or even videos, video gaming. They are not learning any new skill. They are just passively lying down on their couches and just watching and just increasing the strain on the eyes, isn't it? Since we cannot avoid online classes, we need to decide what is to be restricted. So as parents, we need to be vigilant about not only this, but also what content they are exposed to. We all know that there are so many pop-up ads and suggestions of videos that come up, and children, if they are left unsupervised, they, with just out of their curiosity, they click a button, and you don't know what sort of harmful, I would say, unhealthy material, especially pornography. They will be exposed to this, and once they are hooked to it for life. And it is very difficult for children to come out of it, and because they don't open up. So we need to also be vigilant about the content that they are exposed to, apart from the screen time per se. Now, what do you do to tackle this? If you ask me, I can start with the guidelines that we used to give for computer professionals. Earlier, there's excessive usage of computers had caused something called computer vision syndrome, and we used to tell them certain guidelines. So I would first tell you about the same guidelines regarding the computer usage, computer or any screen for that matter. So first is the distance of the device from the eyes. It should be at a minimum of 25 inches, or I would say an arm's length from the eyes, the device. Second is the height of the screen. The height of the screen should not be either high or low. It should be just below the level of the eyes, so that there is no strain on the neck of the child or parent or whoever. When of continued usage, it doesn't cause any strain. Another important thing is the chair. It's better to have an ergonomic chair with back support, so that when continued usage daily over a period of time, months, years, they don't develop any neck pain or back pain. Now, the computer or the screen should be kept near a source of natural light. Like I said, the importance of exposure to natural sunlight for the proper growth and development of the eyes and the brain. So preferably during daylight, it's better to sit near a window, like how I am sitting, although there is less sunlight now. It is better to sit near the window so that they are exposed to sunlight. The sunlight need not fall on the screen, because that will cause glare. And similarly, artificial lights also cause glare. So if necessary, you can put an anti-glare coating, but these days, most of the LCD monitors already have an anti-glare coating. So that can be taken care of. Now, another thing is, most of the parents have been asking me about the blue light filter. A lot of buzz is going around about blue light. So I'll tell you, this blue light is not something specific to the screens. It is already there in the natural sunlight. In natural light, you must have heard of VIBGYOR, isn't it? The V in VIBGYOR is for blue, and the blue light is already there in sunlight. And this blue light is responsible for, awakening us, in the morning. It keeps us awake and alert. So that is why excessive blue light is not good, especially after sunset, because we have a natural rhythm. We have, the human beings, all of nature, we all have a rhythm. And in human beings, we call it the diurnal rhythm. All our hormones are secreted in the morning at around sunrise. See, we go according to the sun. When the sun rises, you would have seen that whether they are birds or animals, they are all up in the morning, isn't it? And at around sunset, all birds retire to their nests and animals, they go to their resting places. Similarly, our body is also in tune with nature. After sunset, our hormones all, they reduce, the metabolism reduces, and the brain is actually preparing itself to go to sleep. But instead, because of the invention of the light bulb and electricity, and now more and more entertainment businesses, television, you can call it Netflix and YouTube, all those screens offering such entertaining programs that people have started late into the night. Instead of just using technology for the bare necessities, we are actually spending more and more time after sunset watching movies or anything. Even night shifts have started. People have, companies are working in night shifts. So more people are working in the night and they're sleeping in the day. So, and see what happens when increased exposure to the screen light after sunset or closer to bedtime, the brain isn't exactly aware whether it is day or night. It doesn't know. So that is why there is an increase in the rate of insomnia in children. Have you heard of small children saying that I can't get sleep? A lot of children, parents come to me and say that children are able to sleep till 1 or 2 in the morning. This is because of the stimulation by blue light. But I would tell you, don't go and buy blue light filters and zero power glasses with blue light filters. That is not an excuse to cut down on your screen time. I would say try to cut down, minimize your screen time, especially after sunset. When it is bedtime, a minimum of 1 hour before bedtime, all devices have to be switched off. Bedrooms should be no tech zones. No devices should be allowed inside bedrooms. Similarly, online classes should not be inside bedrooms. The online classes have to be in drawing rooms or in public places where, we can keep an eye on what is happening. Because I have seen so many children, their parents are not aware, children are in the bedrooms with their phones and they are texting. When the teachers are, teaching and screaming their lungs out, children are busy texting each other and having fun and passing comments. So classes, online classes are conducted. Parents should see that the computer is kept in a public place or in the drawing room, so that we can keep a vigil on them. Okay. So now these are the things about the monitor as such. And you can also reduce the brightness of the screen if you're sitting in a place where there is natural light. Now coming to the next thing that you should take, the most important thing is taking a break. We have said that even HRD ministry has given guidelines that there should be a 5 to 10 minutes break. But we ophthalmologists, we have been advising computer professionals for a long time about something called the 20-20-20 rule. I told you I'll be talking a lot about this number 20. So this 20-20-20 rule says that after a gap of 20 minutes of screen time, you should take a break for about 20 seconds. And you should go to the window and look at an object or stare out of the window at anything beyond 20 feet. Because as I told you, when you come closer to the eyes, the muscles are acting. And when you look at an object beyond 20 feet, the muscles are relaxing. So check beyond 20 feet. And during this break that the children are being given during online classes, not only should they apply this 20-20 rule, also they should be told to blink. I told you there is reduced blinking when they are looking at the screens. So they should be asked to blink, say about 10 to 20 times, and then close their eyes for 5 seconds. Again, repeat it. Blink for say 20 times, then close for 5 seconds. This has to be repeated during every break, every day. Not just that you do it once and forget it. This has to be done regularly, and this will help in lubricating the eye and also nourishing the eyes. Next is hydration. It's very important that we children as well as adults maintain a hydration during these times when they are indoors and just looking at these screens. 6 to 8 glasses of water. They can begin the day with 1 or 2 glasses of water, and even during the break they can drink water. A lot of parents ask me whether juices can be allowed. Okay, juice can be, fresh juice can be allowed, but not the added sugar ones and the carbonated drinks, because with minimal activity, staying indoors, it will just lead to another obesity pandemic. So better to stick to water, or if necessary, fresh juices. There is no limit to telling the importance of a healthy diet. Everybody knows about healthy diet, but it's very difficult for people to follow. We have to maintain a good diet, especially small children in the formative age, the growing ages. When I said up to the age of 6 to 8, green leafy vegetables and yellow and orange colored vegetables, fruits and vegetables. Like if mango is in season, papaya, pumpkin, all these are rich in vitamins and other nutrients that are helpful in the normal growth and development of the eyes and the brain. Now coming to exercises, they are all the time sitting indoors and they're not moving around. After the classes or even during the break, if they get even 2 minutes, if they can do some stretching or yoga, there are plenty of yoga exercises even for the eyes. But it would be better that you take the advice from a proper yoga instructor, because it is not just like exercises. Yoga is more about aligning your eye movement with the breath. So it not only relaxes your eyes and your body, but also relaxes your mind. So if children are taught yoga and meditation and such techniques at an early age, they will be habituated to that also, and then even when they are adults, they will continue their habits. And in the long run, they will be adults with not only a beautiful and healthy body, but also beautiful minds. So we need to encourage and train them in yoga and all these beautiful techniques from a younger age. So it is our responsibility now as parents and teachers that we inculcate such healthy habits in them. Another is lifestyle changes. Lifestyle changes, why? Because as I told you, it is multifactorial. It is not just the screen per se that is causing the damage. It is all these factors combined together, like spending more time indoors on near activities, spending less time outdoors, less time in natural sunlight. Also genetics. If parents are myopic, there is an increased incidence of myopia in children. So again, we need to take care of this. So all lifestyle changes need to be done. Whatever possible need to be addressed. Now, apart from these, we can do certain things to rectify whatever damage has already been done. So we all have been involved in a rat race. In our generation, we were told to study, like I was discussing with Principal Sir the other day. So we were just told to study or mug up and get more marks, more degrees, get a job, make more money. It was all about the rat race. More money, and success was defined by what? By the amount of dinars that you have in your account or the number of houses. It's all about materialistic things. But is this really success? If you say this is affluence is success, you know that now there is an increased incidence of depression and suicide. If you see in the last 25 years, the rates of depression and suicide rates have doubled. So is affluence the answer? No, affluence is not success. Success is when you are happy with yourselves, you are content, and children need to be taken away from this rat race. I would always give the same analogy of if you want to travel from Bangalore to Chennai, what do? You book a ticket, isn't it, by a train or flight, and then on the date of your journey, you pack your bags and you enter the train and you leave your luggage in the compartment and then you relax. After that, you just wait for the train to reach the destination, isn't it? But what is stress is you are not able to relax. Even in the train, you're trying to run within the train. In a moving train, you're carrying your luggage and running. But during lockdown, what has happened is like you are so habituated to the rat race that even during lockdown, you are running inside the train. But what is the difference here? The train is stationary. The whole world has come to a standstill, but still you want to run. You have been so habituated. So online coaching, I wouldn't say online classes, online coaching, even for soccer and cricket, there are online classes. I mean, how can you teach sports through online classes? This is what I mean by running inside a stationary train. So we have to decide as parents, we have to make decisions about what should be restricted and what should be allowed. We know that this screen-based life is here to stay. We cannot avoid it. So we have to make changes in our lifestyle. Now coming to teachers are like COVID warriors. They have been working tirelessly throughout the lockdown period. So they also have to be addressed. They are also facing problems. Plus those who are close to 40 years, as I told you, their muscles are getting weaker and they are facing these problems to a larger extent. So what do we do for them is, like I said, all these rules that I said about the computer, care of the computer, taking the break, 20-20 rule, maintaining good diet, hydration, all this should be is applicable to teachers as well as to these children who are appearing for the competitive exams. In addition, you can use eye drops, lubricating eye drops are available frequently, 5 to 6 times in a day, depending upon the level of your discomfort. Another thing is the necessity of getting your eyes checked at least once. Everybody, especially children, when with some sort of complaint, when they are having any redness or itching, it is better to get them tested at least once. Because as I told you earlier, glasses have to be worn at the proper age. I told you by the age of 6 to 8, the eyes have completed their development. So if they don't wear glasses before that age, the vision that is lost forever. It cannot come back. You cannot do anything. There is no surgery, no quick fix solutions. No glasses can get the vision that is lost. And that condition is a very sad condition. It is called amblyopia. So children need to wear glasses before the age of 6 to 8 if they have glasses. And if they have glasses, they have to be checked regularly, depending upon the advice given by the ophthalmologist, whether it is once in 3 months or 6 months, you have to get it checked. And if there is a change in the power, it has to be done. Because once the vision is lost, it cannot be regained. And then they remain with that vision for the rest of their life. So there is very important that eyes should be checked. Similarly, for children who are appearing for competitive exams, if they have a strain, their eyes should be checked. And even if it is a small power, it has to be worn because it will go a long way in avoiding the discomfort. And a lot of children who develop squint have to be taken to the ophthalmologist at the earliest because they need to be examined by putting certain eye drops, and we have to see that the muscle is paralyzed and then again checked on another day. So the importance of getting the eyes checked can never be this thing. So you have to be very vigilant about all these things. Now coming to last but not the least, the parents have a big responsibility. Parents, have to lead by example. You have to be their role models. If you carry yourself with a certain amount of discipline and commitment, children will definitely make you all their role models and they will follow you. It's more than telling them to do something. Even without telling, they will imitate you. So if you lead by example, what I mean is, if you cut down on your screen time, social media, and how you spend your time during your spare time, this will rub on to them. So your parents also have a responsibility. You need to lead by example so that children follow your footsteps, not the rat race. We should see that children go beyond academics. Like I was telling Principal Sir the other day, life is not just about marks and getting more and more degrees and making more and more money. Life is beyond that. Life is when you are content and happy, and you are you are an asset to the family. A child or when becomes an adult should be an asset. It should not be a burden. Similarly to your neighbors, this COVID pandemic has taught us this. We always only thought about ourselves, but when your neighbor had COVID, you were scared because he's also breathing the same air, and still there is a doubt whether it is transmitted through air. So you have to see that your neighbors are also happy. You have to be useful to your neighbors and then to society at large. So children have to be taught life skills, socializing skills. They have to be taught arts and crafts and develop good hobbies. So many things that do it at yourself things. They can learn new musical instruments. There's so many other things other than just academics. These days, importance is given only to academics. So this is one of the reasons why children are more becoming myopes, because more of near work, isn't it? So I heard that again the school curriculum is going to be changed. It is a good sign. I heard the government of India is planning to make a new syllabus. It's good, because for the past 50 years, we have been having the same syllabus. So if I look at my son's book, the science text, for example, it is the same thing that I studied 30 years back. Nothing of the content per se, only some few changes here and there. So we need to change. Science and technology has advanced by leaps and bounds, isn't it? But are they being taught? No, it is all, we are just slaves of this system. I should say the slaves of the education system and everything. So we need to address all these and then make suitable changes in our lifestyle and, inculcate them into the lifestyle of our children so that they become adults. When they become, family, when they have their own family, they are more responsible parents, more responsible neighbors. They are useful to society, and the place becomes better. So they should be taught these values from a younger age. It is not just about the eyes, it is also about the mind and the body as a whole. So I hope that in the coming days, these changes, or whatever I have told, especially the importance of having smaller periods with breaks in between and change of lifestyle, is inculcated by these parents as well as in the school authority. And I'll tell you one more thing for children, for teachers, is that it's better to be a little more tech savvy. Instead of giving online classes all the time, you can record pre-recorded videos, and pre-recorded worksheets can be handed out. It's not only convenient for you, but also for the parents of the children, because it can be used anytime during the weekend at their own luxury, at their leisure, sorry. It can be used, and it's not a strain for you, as well as it will reduce the strain for the parents and children. And lot of audiobooks and educational materials are available online these days. So instead of watching videos all the time, you can children can be told to listen to audiobooks. Plenty of interesting materials available. So this is the way we can cut down on screen time. What I mean is to restrict the screen time so that harmful effects can be avoided. And God knows what are the harmful effects will be. We'll come to know only maybe after 20 years, but we need to take the steps now. So as always, it is said, prevention is better than cure, but here there is no cure. That the harmful effects, the structural damage has no cure. No surgery, no laser will correct the structural damages. So prevention is the mantra for today. Thank you. If there